Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. It's going to be another episode of Reforge Gaming News talking about Horizon Forbidden West. Apparently, already DLC planned, as well as confirmation of a sequel. What does this mean? Timing. This game kind of just came out. I'm also going to be providing you with sort of my review of the game. What did I think about it? I did have criticisms about this game, even though I really did enjoy it. And obviously, I'll be jumping back in when there is DLC. If you like these live streams, I put all the good info right here at the beginning, and then we jump into the discussion. So make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss it. Also, consider doing a paid membership. $5 a month will get you into the extra content we are now doing. This is a Reforge update. Horizon Forbidden West DLC is apparently on the way, as well as confirmation of a sequel. What exactly was stated, and what did I think of the game? I actually do have some criticisms about Forbidden West, as well as praise, so let's get into this. If you like these quick Reforge updates, hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss my uploads, or check out Reforge Gaming where I stream this live. So VG247 outlined this, and they sort of interviewed Matthias de Jong. I think that's how you say his name. He is the creative director at Guerrilla Games. So we have some quotes from VG247 when they sat down with him and things he said about this game in particular. So if you have finished the game, you know there is a cliffhanger at the end of Horizon Forbidden West. I'm not going to spoil anything right now. That doesn't really serve the purposes of this video if you, for whatever reason, haven't played the game or you haven't gotten to the end, but there is a cliffhanger at the end, similar to how they did a cliffhanger at the end of the first game. So nobody was sort of in doubt that there would be a continuation of this franchise, as successful as the first one was, and as successful as the second one seemingly was as well, from the reviews and from the praise that it received. This quote about potential DLC makes it clear they have plans to do things with the current game in the near future. Horizon is really about mystery. Each of our stories has been about uncovering mysteries in both the old world and the present day when the game takes place. This is Matthias de Jong, creative director at Guerrilla, explaining in an interview with VG247. He said, "Indeed, there is plenty of backstory that we can tap into to develop new storylines and create new mysteries from what we've already established." So they already have ideas about expanding storylines and things that they've already done in Forbidden West in order to give new experiences within this game. He also confirmed the next game, which again, I'm not surprised, but it does feel a little early to basically say, yeah, we're going to make another one. He said, and indeed, this game ends with another big cliffhanger where we're setting up some things for the next game once again. So not only are they obviously looking at, expanding the story of Horizon Forbidden West, but he's confirming that there will be a next game, not just DLC. So let me just talk about some of my issues with Forbidden West that I would hope that they would improve in the next one. I actually thought the combat got into some ruts that were not all that enjoyable. It felt as if every single enemy had range, and that was not necessarily the case in the first game. If an enemy had range, that was kind of a big deal, and then you kind of had to target their gun to knock it off. When even the most minor enemies have range, it sort of disrupts that slowly take your shots and feel awesome precision game that you really felt in the first game. Hitboxes also felt kind of inconsistent at times and weird, like you were supposed to knock things off and they just wouldn't. Enemies had an attack frequency that was very, very rapid and very quick, so it led to a lot of instances where you sort of felt stun locked. They actually tried to address this because Aloy was laying on the ground for such extraordinary long periods of time. They had to make it to where you were invincible when on the ground. Like, enough people complained about this that they actually patched to make Aloy invincible while on the ground. I actually think when she's laying on the ground, that window of time should be shortened significantly, or at least let you smash some buttons to roll out of it. Like in other games, when you get stunned and on the ground and you're invincible, you can kind of tap out of it. This made some of the fights feel exceptionally long and unenjoyable, and it also takes away from those big epic moments that Aloy is supposed to feel. I also felt like the story pacing was good, but at the same time they kept doing this pull back the veil surprise of like, hey, you thought this was going on, haha, this is what's going on. It sort of lost its punch by the end of the game. I thought some of the really big reveals were excellent, like when you were talking to some of the main characters, especially when you're talking to like one of the AI computer things. I'm trying to say vague for people who haven't played it yet. I thought there was excellent revelations there, but it just kind of continued to be the theme of the game that you didn't really know what was going on until the very end. I do think the game had amazing characters and design. It's a beautiful game. It did have performance issues that I know they've continued to try to iron out, but overall, I think it's a fantastic continuance of the franchise, but I would love to see them really address the combat in a way that would make it not so frustrating. One of the central pieces of combat was those very lengthy third-person animations where you'd put paint on your face to really create this amazing action-adventure feel, but they became kind of a nuisance and kind of annoying. They're exceptionally long, and the enemies can move while you're doing it, so there would be times that you would do that animation and then the enemy's locations would change or be considerably closer to you, and it would make it for a pretty unenjoyable experience. If they could smooth all those things out, I think they made good advances in the combat system and deepening it and making it more enjoyable, but I find it often fell into a flat tire rhythm that was unenjoyable, and they need to look at that for both future updates of Forbidden West as well as the sequel. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, hit subscribe and the bell button, and I'll see you in the next video. And I'll see the rest of you right now. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome in. I hope you had a great weekend. Happy Monday to you. If you celebrated or enjoyed the Easter holiday like I did, I hope it was a good one. We have a very, very full day planned for you. We have a very, very full day planned for you. The second show today will be about No Man's Sky and the update that they did and whether or not now's a good time to jump into the game. There's good, there's bad, there's also the future to consider since, Hello Games is apparently working on another title. This morning we're opening with Horizon Forbidden West with the DLC plans and with the sequel confirmation. And we're not going to be doing polls for a little while now. I found them to be incredibly disruptive and annoying on mobile, and we don't want to be driving people away right now. We are in a weird spot with the channel, and we're not quite sure if it's just dry news, a combination of dry news and some of the things that we've been doing. We've been very pleased with the response to our new members initiative. If you're not a member, we are trying to give you plenty of reasons to become a member. Friday night streams with my wife, and that Thursday afternoon stream is a lot of fun here. We literally just kind of hang out and talk, kind of get a little off script and spicy, and as long as you're a member, you can have access to those. And this week, we are not doing a stream with my wife. We're going to be doing a Friday night community game night. Make sure you got Fortnite installed and updated. It's literally on every platform. It's totally free. It's totally cross-play. We're going to be doing no building squads, so I don't even care if you don't like Fortnite. It could be fun. If you want to have access to community game night, that is something that you're going to need to be a member for. And so make sure and push the like button. Make sure you are on live chat. Those are two things that really help us out. Live chat ensures that you see everybody's messages, and the like button ensures that this video gets good treatment. Yo, it's good feed. Good to see you in the chat. Make sure you guys are going through those rituals because we are in a bit of a drought with gaming news, so we're kind of having to grab the best we can and try to make a show out of it, which makes it really, really tough to do what we do, which primarily what we do is a talk show. So yes, there is sequel news, Eugene. The creative director confirmed that there will be a next game. He was doing an interview with VG247 and talking about the cliffhanger ending and how they want to tell more stories, so he basically confirms DLC. That's not surprising. But then confirmed that there will be a next game. He said, quote, he said, the game ends with another big cliffhanger where we are setting up some things for the next game once again. So in their mind, the end of this game is a baton pass to the next game. After playing Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West combat for me was completely awful and unenjoyable. It drove me simply to put the game on story mode to get through it. I actually found the combat in Horizon Forbidden West to be the single most disappointing thing about it. I did not think it was very good. I thought that they tried to do too much, and it led to really, really frustrating combat. I just didn't enjoy myself. It did not feel polished. It didn't feel epic. I didn't feel like I had really cool moments. It felt like boss fights or just run-of-the-mill fights were incredibly long, and you're constantly getting knocked down. Got my Light and Dark Roast this weekend. Absolutely loving Light Roast so far. Can't wait to try out the Dark Roast. Yo, thank you, Gamer Plays. I appreciate that. Yes, we printed all the coffee orders last night. So if you ordered coffee on Friday over the weekend, you should have got an email last night. We printed those orders last night. Hell Is Us looks interesting. Just a teaser for now. Yeah, until I see gameplay, trailers like that mean literally nothing. It's like, you might as well show me a wallpaper. Like, I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, that's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, that's just been my take lately. Super excited to get mine soon. Yes, thank you, We the People. I'm having some Dark Roast myself this morning. Guys, make sure and smash that like button. When we can get those first 100 likes relatively quickly, it does help out the stream. We've been having a pretty big drop in turnout every day, and I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think YouTube is still fiddling with stuff, so we've really got to do that work to communicate to YouTube that these videos are performing well. So thank you for being here. Those of you that continue to show up regardless of all of the stuff that YouTube's kind of fiddling with, make sure, if it's Monday through Friday and you're like, oh, where's his stream? Where is he? You might have to check your subscription feed, and you might have to check my channel. That is something that we're noticing a trend there. We're noticing people are having to do that just to find the stream. Yo, Major Mischief with a $10 tip. Gaming journalism starts here. Reforge Gaming. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind. I appreciate that. That is a generous tip of $10. Guys, don't forget the join button is something that we are trying to be better about, giving you a reason to click. Let's see here. Today I'm wearing a Mega Man shirt from the video game collection over there at 80s Tees. We're trying to drive you guys to the collections as opposed to just their homepage. Anytime I'm wearing a shirt, if you think it's pretty dope. This one's actually kind of cool. It's got like some Japanese symbols underneath them. Let's see here. That's the main reason I've not gotten into the Horizon franchise. I've never actually cared about the story while playing, all about the action. The constant knockdowns did it for me, says Lido. Always a headbutt, a tail swipe. She would fall to everything. Well, and that was the thing that I started noticing in the combat. It was like, okay, so what do you expect me to do here? Like, this is what ended up happening to me in Horizon Forbidden West gameplay, okay? The combat rhythm I felt was pretty terrible, okay? This is what I commonly would experience. You would have multiple targets doing multiple things, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with having multiple targets. But those multiple targets would all be in different rhythms of attack, and their attack frequency is really, really high, meaning that typically attack frequency is in games like this is one enemy does something and then just kind of waits for a little bit of time before doing something again. Now, I know if you were to zoom out on this and watch it like a movie, you might think, well, that's incredibly unrealistic. Why would they not be all attacking her at the exact same time and just eviscerating her? Well, it's a video game. Like, you have to give the player, you have to sort of suspend reality and give the player this sort of illusion of opportunity, because that's generally the only way it's going to feel good. That's why in games like Elden Ring and Dark Souls, when there's multiple targets, you've really got to manage everything well, because those games tend to not hold back. The enemies will attack in frequencies that are very stun lock oriented. I don't think it's on purpose. I think it's something that just sort of happens because of the nature of the game, and they don't tend to try to protect you from it. So you have to use positioning to keep it from happening. And I know somebody's going to say, well, you should have to do the same thing in Horizon Forbidden West. Well, here's one of the challenges with Horizon Forbidden West with respect to, like, just position yourself better. Typically in a game like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, most of the enemies that are doing this are melee driven and need to be within proximity of you to do damage. So as long as you do some backtracking and some proper kiting and funneling, you can prevent yourself from being stun locked. Now, one of the things that makes that exceptionally hard is when they can hit through each other. So they can actually swing and clip through each other. So there's a knight in front of you, and then there's a knight behind him, and the knight in behind, thrusts through the guy in front of you, doesn't do anything to him, and then you take damage. That's one of the things in the FromSoft and Elden Ring games that can make the combat exceptionally irritating because they sort of get to cheat, okay? Now, Horizon Forbidden West, I think, ratchets up some of this in the realm of combat frequency, and it's compounded by the overwhelming amount of range attacks that virtually every unit in the game has. You could be fighting a dadgum butterfly, and it's going to throw, shoot, or launch something at you in Horizon Forbidden West. And what this does is it creates combat rhythms where you virtually have zero volition or will over what happens in the fight. You're just sort of playing on their terms all of the time, and it leads to stun lock, it leads to Aloy laying on the ground, it leads to all those great, awesome, slowdown, epic moments. They seem to happen really, really infrequently compared to the first game. Yo, Shay Allen with the brand new membership, first new member of the day. Thank you for that. Enjoy the dope badge and emotes. You're dope and deserve dope stuff. Guys, if you want to get a little member train going here, jump on Shay Allen's membership. It's at the top of the chat. Hit the join button, or you can click join in the description or type !join in the chat. And we are offering that Thursday afternoon stream. That's an extra stream, as well as Friday night for members only. We were not offering members only content for a really long time. We feel that it's fair to start doing so, and we also think it's fair to, I can't expect people to push the join button if we're not giving them a reason to. And don't forget, this Friday is community game night, Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern for all members. So make sure if you're a member that you are here for that. We still don't have 100 likes. We've really, really got to own this. We're doing this content Monday through Friday and absolutely breaking our backs right now dealing with YouTube's issues. So when you get in here, do your best to switch to live chat and smash the like button. It will help. It will help us turn some of this stuff around that's happening on the platform. Anyway, Frozen Wilds was pretty much perfect, so if Horizon Forbidden West gets a DLC of that quality, I'm all for that. Yeah, I thought Frozen Wilds should have pushed you to use the new weaponry. So here was my issue. So Horizon Zero Dawn comes out, and it's amazing, and everybody gives it tons of praise, and I loved it. And I had all my weapons and stuff. I mean, I really maxed some stuff out. Like the rope launcher, when you really max it out, it helped you deal with some of the larger birds and some of the other things that were going on in the game, right? And then Frozen Wilds comes out, and when you get into Frozen Wilds, if you have been playing, you have a bunch of maxed out weaponry already. Okay? So then what ends up happening is you get this new weaponry, and it's all incredibly weak, not invested in, and it doesn't feel all that appealing for that reason. So they could have done a couple of things. Number one, they could have made leveling up that new weaponry a lot easier and a lot faster. And number two, they could have really done a better job incentivizing you to even use the weaponry, because it was like, I don't understand, make the enemies more susceptible to it, give you story reasons to use it. There was a variety of things they could have done to make it, I think, more appealing. It felt like, okay, cool, great new weaponry, and I just kind of shelved it because all of my existing weaponry was so strong. Fuzzy says, I happen to be watching Atlantis over the weekend, and an exclamation caught me off guard. Is that the reason you always say Jiminy Christmas? I don't know where I picked up Jiminy Christmas. I really don't. I had an aunt who said Jiminy Crickets, I think. I don't know where I picked it up, though. That's not where I picked it up. I won't defend the enemy aggressiveness or the fact that the projectile spam sometimes, or that they projectile spam sometimes, but I think you really have to utilize pretty much all of the game's combat mechanics to be successful. Even then, I didn't feel like it made a difference. I was switching my weaponry all the time. It didn't seem like it made any difference at all in the flow of the combat. I would play a second time for the Beta and Aloy relationship. Oh yeah, like have it like continue and have her learn more things. Did you notice that there are some enemies that actually have friendly fire? For example, the giant crabs. I don't understand why it doesn't apply to everyone. It's the same thing in Elden Ring. Some enemies have friendly fire and some enemies don't. It doesn't make any sense at all. Oh, did he really say Jiminy Christmas a lot? I don't remember him saying that. I remember him saying that he was torqued off. I remember him saying that. That really torques me off. I remember him saying that. Interesting. Horizon Zero Dawn had enemy-friendly fire for every enemy, I think. I didn't know that it had been toned down in the sequel. What is this picture here? Jiminy Christmas, it's a machine. No, yeah, that is not where I've gotten it from. Paul says it's the most overrated game of 2022. I don't think Horizon Forbidden West is overrated. I definitely think the reviews that I read, it did feel like they overlooked. I don't know how you can play the game and overlook the frustrations that I'm talking about. The combat was extremely weird. It just didn't seem like they had done a good job polishing it. I had to realize that the game didn't let me get away with BS I would abuse in the first game after getting comfortable and too confident. I didn't even feel like that was the case at all. Like they were trying to keep you from doing like cheesy or overpowered stuff. It didn't feel like that in the least bit. It literally felt like the enemies were just too... It's not even aggressive. You can totally have enemies in a game be aggressive. Like, I don't think that's a problem. It's attack frequency. That was the issue. The issue was attack frequency. I love the combat, no issues. I played on hard. Yeah, but you beat Sekiro and thought Nameless King wasn't hard. So I'm sorry, Eugene. When it comes to combat anymore and difficulty, you're at an echelon that I don't... It's so hard. It's so difficult to be like, yeah, Eugene's the barometer. I think you're the edge of the cliff. And so when you play something on really hard and you're like, yeah, it wasn't that difficult, it was pretty easy, I'm like, okay, that probably means that there were problems. Like, I guess if you said there were problems with combat or something was cheap, then we would know there was a problem. Because, like, you played Sekiro and did New Game Plus and then played Dark Souls 3 and didn't think the Nameless King was hard. Like, when it comes to difficulty, it's so hard for me to be like, yeah, Eugene's a good barometer of a game's difficulty. Like, I think you're in such a minority of players. I don't know. DLC definitely wants... One thing Horizon delivers so well is the variety of weapons and their benefits. No damage elemental weapons are so useful. The depth of the enemies and their weaknesses versus strengths is amazing. Yeah, I actually liked that, but they made it incredibly hard to do that, again, because there would be 4 enemies on top of each other or in an area, and you're trying to switch between all your different elements, and the enemies are just constantly spamming you. I don't know. I definitely felt once I gave myself every element that it was a lot better, because I could do a lot of stunning and take advantage of weaknesses, but I don't know, man. It really started to feel like I couldn't catch a break. There was one time where I was literally showing people, I was like, look, you can't get a break. I was running, dodging, running, dodging, running, dodging. I was like, where is my window for attack? There was like no window for attack. Now, if you have some enemies that are known for being like overly aggressive, that's fine, because when you see them, you're going to take a different approach. You might be like, okay, I need to set traps. Okay, I need to play stealth. And if you fail to do that, you're going to get punished. I think that's totally fine. I think the problem was, it wasn't like, oh, this particular enemy is like hyper aggressive, right? It was like every enemy is hyper aggressive. So when you got to the worst offenders, it wasn't like, oh, here's a standout enemy. Here's an enemy that is, particularly strong or annoying or aggressive. It was like, no, here's one more incredibly frustrating enemy, right? Does Forbidden West have an ultra hard mode like the first one with the rebalanced economy and all that? I'm not sure. Do they do anything to the economy when you switch it to the hardest difficulty? I actually don't know. Good morning, folks. Morning meeting's over with. What's the main talk right now? Yo, it's good distorted. We're talking the combat system in Forbidden West. The creative director confirmed both DLC and a sequel, and I'm just saying these are things they need to improve on in either the DLC or the sequel. I found the combat in Forbidden West to be, pretty bad. I mean, maybe that's what we should have led with this morning. I thought talks of a sequel was a pretty strong like lead topic. Like they're already talking about a sequel, and I don't know. I thought that was a strong lead. It seems I was wrong. So I'm shifting to combat criticism. I gave myself kind of a fallback of like, all right, let's talk about what they could improve, because I felt that the combat was the most disappointing aspect of the game. I felt it was the most disappointing aspect of the game. If there was one thing that should have been miles better than the first game, it should have been the combat, and I just don't think that it was. Did they say the third one is the last one? I don't think they said that. I don't think they confirmed that it would be the last one. Derek says, I didn't ever excel at combat in Horizon Zero Dawn until I really amped up my finesse and did fights more like a good dance. I wasted a lot of time just trying to brute force my way through. Yes, so I will definitely say, in Horizon Zero Dawn, my entire outlook changed when I stopped trying to just damage them to death and started saying, okay, knock off their weaponry and use their weaponry against them. Okay, lock them down with the rope launcher. Okay, shoot them with whatever they're weak to. And then the whole game shifted for me. The rope launcher especially, because the most agile, most frustrating, most irritating enemies, they were generally the ones that especially in the first game, they were generally the ones that were the worst offenders. If they were super agile, if they were like a bird, they would make your life terrible. Basically, it was like you couldn't do anything, right? You were like, oh my gosh, this bird, this whatever, because they could basically get above you, and then you felt like you constantly had to like run and get out from underneath them. Well, the rope launcher completely changed that combat, especially when you got one where you could like really, really up the handling on it. And it was like you could sort of like and just spam them and stick them to the ground. I thought that made a pretty significant difference. The game encourages using a variety of weapons. You try the shock rope caster. I mean, Eugene, it got to the point where I had not a single repeat weapon on my dial, and I had not a single repeat element. I had every element and virtually every weapon type, and it didn't make a difference. See, this is one of the things I think that happens. So I'm talking about enemy combat rhythm and frequency and aggressiveness and stun lock and getting knocked on the ground for long periods of time. And my weapons don't necessarily have an answer for that. Even if there's 4 enemies in front of me and I have all 4 weapons and all 4 elements for their weaknesses, the problem is there is a excessive amount of disruption that happens in the game. The disruptive factor is the issue. It's like, Jiminy Christmas, I'm just trying to shoot this guy with this element and I can't friggin' do it. Like, just leave me alone. That was my issue. I had plenty of great weapons. I had plenty of strong stuff. I invested quite a bit of time at one point just farming materials and leveling my gear, and it just didn't seem to matter. The 2 weapons I just talked about take enemies out of the fights. Shock rope caster or adhesive bombs. Yeah, adhesive bombs, you get those kind of late. And so I felt they were nice for that because you could like lock enemies down for sure, and that could slow things down. But the problem was adhesive bombs showed up late, at least for me. I felt like they showed up late game, and the currency and the materials to make the adhesive bombs, I just didn't feel were in abundance enough to use them in every dadgum fight. I'm not even talking about like the big fights. I definitely, when you got into a big fight, you could definitely feel what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to rotate through like all your weapons, hit them with the adhesive, then hit them what they were weak to, and then try to knock a piece off, right? They definitely wanted you to do that. And one of the more frustrating fights that I experienced is like as soon as I use adhesive bombs, the flow of the fight completely changed. The problem is all those run-of-the-mill fights, all those little fights, all those little guys, all those trash ads, and you feel as if, like, I can't be using adhesive bombs in every single one of these fights. I'm going to run out of them, right? You know, the currency and the materials needed. It didn't seem like that's what you should be doing. Like, every fight using one of the most powerful, most influential weapons in your run-of-the-mill, around-every-corner enemy fight. I respect how you feel, Lono, because I felt similar to you in the beginning of my playthrough, and I admit, as a Horizon stan, but I really feel like it depends on how you approach combat as well. Right. That's what I mean. Like the idea of if you approach the combat, and some of this could just be what I experienced in the first game, and I brought those expectations over to this game. I kind of expected to be able to take those moments and slow things down and knock pieces off and feel epic and feel awesome. And I felt that the enemy aggression and the enemy attack frequency made that exceptionally hard, right? Y'all hear the irony of a from chat that typically says heck no to difficulty levels, turning around and saying that the Horizon Forbidden West combat was too hard, so they played it on easy, right? Well, I would be careful with assumptions, Derek. There's plenty of people here that turned Forbidden West onto easy that probably have no stake in the fight of the From Software games, right? And what I'm talking about has nothing to do with difficulty. It just ends up feeling incredibly cheap. It's like it's an attack rhythm problem. I need to be given a window of opportunity to do something. And there were times where I would dodge, go to aim, have to dodge again, go to aim, have to dodge again, go to aim. And so I know what, like Eugene's like, oh, use adhesive bombs or the electric rope caster. You take those guys out of the picture. It's like, okay, I don't. What if I don't have that? What if I don't want to use that? What if my combat decisions are that like, yeah, I'm using something completely different than that. Again, that gets very one-trick pony. It's like, well, I have a lot of enemies, better adhesive these guys, because if not, they're going to spam. Because again, if you think about it, if there's an enemy that's attacking on a combat rhythm of, think of it like tempo and music, right? This guy's attacking in 4/4, this guy's attacking in 2/4, this guy's attacking in 3/4, and this guy's attacking 7/8 or whatever. Like, and they're all attacking at different tempos and different rhythms. What ends up happening is, as soon as one attack lands and ends, and you roll, and you're like, oh, now it's time for me to draw my bow back, another attack comes flying in and needs to be dodged. So what it does is it creates this dissonance, it creates this flat tire in the game where your volition, your choice, your will gets whittled down, right? It just gets whittled down. You're like, you must constantly dodge or mitigate damage, or in this case, use adhesive and shock to stop them from doing something, which again, that's not necessarily as engrossing as like overpowering them or finessing them or dodging and getting good hits. It's like you're literally just locking them down so that you can get to them in time, which I think is fine in some cases, but my feeling was second half of the game and back, I would have had to do that in almost every fight to have it feel paced well, right? Either way, it's kind of funny. A game that you love, get good. Game you only like, the combat isn't fair. It's funny. I don't think anybody's being that inconsistent, though. I really like Elden Ring, and I actually criticize the combat decisions in that game at times. I do. I think Elden Ring has things that they do with combat that I find incredibly unappealing. I don't just tell people to get good. I don't. Now, there's a difference between saying we don't want difficulty settings in Elden Ring, because that's actually, if that argument is made properly, it's a far more intellectual argument than get good. Because I think get good is the antithesis of intellectual, point making. You're just being kind of a douche. My argumentation that centers around no difficulty settings in Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Sekiro, and the like is that the actual fabric of the game is not designed with that in mind. So if you just go in and you make everything weak and yourself really strong, you're shattering the fabric of the game, the art, and the intention of the people that made it. I'm not going to tell people just to get good. I think that's kind of silly. I also think there are things that they do in Elden Ring and FromSoft games that I find to be annoying and bad. We just covered this on Friday. I got a lot of heat and a lot of criticism from people, but I also got a lot of agreement from people that were like, we agree with you and Joseph Anderson. The end game of Elden Ring has things about it that are unenjoyable, or has things about it that feel cheesy, cheap, and bad. And in Forbidden West, I'm not necessarily saying that the combat isn't fair. What I'm saying is it's so disruptive and dissonant, it doesn't feel like I'm able to do the things I could do in the first game. So it's almost like you're subverting my expectations, right? There's lore reasons too. The machines have become more aggressive. No, that's okay. I'm actually okay with that. The machines being more aggressive because of the lore and the world and the story, I have absolutely no problem with that. I'm not opposed to that. What I'm opposed to is the idea that the tools they give Aloy, okay, they give her an abundance of weapons. And I would wager to say that a lot of the times the people that think like the combat's totally fine, I bet you they flat tire it and they two-string banjo the game. I bet you they lean on 2 to 3 weapons heavily, and that's how they handle the back half of Forbidden West. There are so many weapons that they give you. There are so many things that you can use. And so much of the game whittles it down to you are going to get spammed and knocked down and stun locked. So you better come up with a solution to this. To be fair, the first game down came down to rope casting and tear blast arrows. Now, maybe it was because I started using the rope caster later in the game, and I only typically use it on the flying enemies. But you're probably right. The rope caster was probably overused in the first game as well. Why? Because you can one-string banjo the game, right? You can one-string banjo the game. You can be like, I'm going to use this thing, and I'm going to lock down everything. I would agree. I use nothing but the explosive spear, said Skiffy. The explosive spear was really fun, so I mean, I can understand why you might do that. Are you describing Horizon Forbidden West or Elden Ring right now? Well, Elden Ring's not really a game where you're pulling out 7 to 8 different weapons in every single fight like you are in Forbidden West. It's very different combat systems. Forbidden West is meant to feel as though you have this arsenal on your back, and I would say Elden Ring way less likely. You're going to have 1 to 2 things that you use throughout the game because it's a build. It's a build that you're committed to. Oh, nobody told me that Discord audio was off. I'm sorry, Oscar. I was muted, not on purpose. You think there will be more lore with the VR game, says Butters, and do you think, depending on how the VR game does, they will start to use it as a storytelling medium? I mean, I don't necessarily know if the storytelling in Forbidden West is going to be, they're going to utilize the VR to push that. I think it's going to be like a side story, kind of like how you could like watch The Walking Dead and they had like those side stories that you could go watch on their website. I would think the VR is probably going to be like that. I don't think they're necessarily going to want to say, oh, hey, let's make sure and utilize the VR and expand the story and the lore and the world in the VR. I bet you it's more like a side story like they do on those TV shows. Yo, good morning, Anthony. Guys, if you're tuning in and enjoying the show, do me a favor, hit the like button. Consider clicking join or using the join link in the description or typing !join in chat. We are doing members-only streams on Thursday afternoon now and Friday night. The Thursday stream is extra. Friday night is either game night with my wife or community game night. This Friday night is community game night. We will be playing Fortnite. We'll be doing no-build squads. Doesn't matter if you don't like Fortnite. We're going to have fun with it. It's on every platform for free, and it's totally cross-play. So if you're a member, get it installed. If you're not a member, consider becoming one and joining in on the fun. The drill spears were better, says Eugene. You can use them to knock down an enemy pretty quickly and then override them. Aunt F says, curious what difficulty did you do Horizon and Horizon Forbidden West on? On hardest, it felt like I got my face stomped without the broken armor. I just played on normal, and I didn't die. I think that's the other thing people are forgetting. I wasn't dying. I was annoyed. It was like, this isn't fun. This isn't fun. And this was before they patched it. So they actually responded to criticism from the community about this, okay? So when she's laying on the ground, you are taking damage, and they've eliminated that now. So sometimes you'd get knocked on the ground, and there'd be like area of effect around you, or more attacks coming in, or more enemies coming in, and you'd be just getting obliterated. Now, I think she lays on the ground an absurd amount of time. Like, of all the games I've ever played where you can get stunned and knocked on the ground, I think Forbidden West has got to be one of the worst. It's like, I don't need to lay on the ground this long. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make the combat flow in a good way. It's annoying as fuck. Get up, Aloy. And what it leads to is two things. Now, before they patched it, it would lead to a disproportionate amount of health loss because you're just laying on the ground, and it leads to stun lock because you go to get up and the enemy isn't respecting any sort of rule set in the code. Now, I'm not saying enemies need to like fight with honor, but generally speaking, you have to program the enemies to sort of do almost like a soft reset when the player gets knocked on the dadgum ground, and these enemies don't do this. So what it leads to is like you go to get back up and another attack's coming in and wham, it knocks you on the ground and you can't get away from it. Again, it creates a dissonance. Like what is happening right now? I hope I can get it on the squads game. Yeah, we're hoping we have a good turnout that night. To be fair, on Horizon Zero Dawn, I stacked Tear on my Tear Blast Arrows and then stacked Crit. I didn't even use the other tech. Right, and I'm not saying that the first game was more balanced. I'm saying all those really awesome moments in the first game, I didn't feel like they happened that much in the second game. I feel like I was constantly getting smacked by an out-of-frame range attack or an out-of-frame enemy and getting knocked down. I tried that insane spear build until they nerfed it, says Commando G-Man. No build is the best thing to ever happen to Fortnite. It was hard for me to one-trick pony because so many of the best weapons and ammo types share the same material and you were limited to 13 in your inventory. Yeah, and I could definitely tell you, Gene, that they... and this is something I actually really appreciated about their design for combat and about their weapon design. You could really tell that they wanted to give you really strong weapons, but then they would cap your quantity and then they would make it tough on the currency. So it wasn't this sort of easy, oh, no problem, you can make this over and over and over again. Like when you can constantly make arrows, all you got to do is, pick up rocks and break sticks or whatever. So, I appreciated that. I was like, okay, they're definitely not wanting you to be able to just crutch the really strong stuff. I think that's probably a good thing. But at the same time, I did feel as if they were doing this sort of, almost a funneling you away from all of the great things that they did in the first game. It was one of those things where I felt as if I was sort of being funneled to play styles and decisions that were, I think, not necessarily. It didn't feel like good game design. It didn't feel like they were doing something where you could consider, oh, I've got my playstyle, I've got my weapons that I really like, let me try and use them. So much of it was you getting spammed and just trying to quickly minimize the spam. I don't know. It just didn't feel like the finesse that I was looking for. The damage on the ground was rough. That was a good fix. I also think they need to shorten how long she's on the ground. I think they need to shorten that significantly. I thought eating the food was a heap. but it was a buff or something. Yeah, you could go and get meals to help you. You could eat them when you were out there and get buffs and things. Not gonna lie, it's annoying when the stun lock, but she is kind of getting smacked by 20-foot metal dinosaurs. Well, okay, that's actually a good point, Duvets, and I want to talk about that, all right? I think you can create that sense of realism in a video game, and you can do it without making people feel like they're actually getting smacked around by dinosaurs. All right, here's what I mean. Yo, Solid Snake with 5 months of membership here on YouTube. I noticed in Horizon Forbidden West, I did stay on the ground a whole lot more due to stun lock, but I still enjoyed the game. Dude, thanks for almost half year of membership. Man, I appreciate it. Guys, don't forget if you're a member to be here Friday night for the first community game night. Okay, so yeah, let me talk about that. I think when you make those moments rare and visceral and sort of shocking, I think they have a greater impact. Like, I think they have a greater impact. I think that if you are going to make the player feel this grand sense of, you know, if you're going to make the player feel this grand sense of fear and this grand sense of, oh my gosh, these dinosaurs, these monsters, these machines are such a huge threat. I think one of the things you've got to do is not have it happening so often. You do know what I'm saying? There's no sense of grandiose threat, oh my word, when it's happening so often. When any enemy can throw a projectile or a rock and knock you down, it just seems to me that creates almost like a flat tire. It creates this sense of this is just happening all the time. It doesn't feel as though this is the nature of combat. It doesn't feel as though this is the oh, these things are a huge threat. It's no, this just happens a ton. I'm just constantly getting knocked around. Did you answer my question, VR question in Discord chat? Yeah, I think they're going to treat the VR thing, Butters, like a side story like they did with Walking Dead. I don't think it's going to be significant storytelling. I love this debate, says Doobies, because I personally think the combat's top tier among the industry right now, just for the sheer joy of breaking down the machines, but I do see its flaws. And that, I should say that, Doovies or Duvets, I'm not sure how to say your name. I do think there's something to be said for their combat is original. Their combat ideas is fresh. It's big. The scope is dope. Like, they definitely do things in Horizon Forbidden West that's awesome. But the flaws are there. And I think the sad thing is, I think the flaws undercut the greatness significantly. There's different styles of games, says GNS, and some are well-rounded like Ghost, and some aren't. I played the distance game with Horizon and I had no problem, but the only time I did was when I put myself at risk. Yeah, you can play back and play more passive for sure, and it helps. Ant F says, it's hard to get a good combat system which everyone can agree upon. Even the most critically acclaimed games find it hard. I felt the Arkham games was too much button smash. I felt the key with the Arkham games was in Arkham Knight, when they sort of made you start brandishing and flourishing new things in the room, or things that would minimize or stop what the enemies could do. You had to hit this guy with your cape. You had to bounce off this guy's shield. You could grab stuff in the room and throw it. You know, getting hit significantly hurts your combos, and you really needed your combos. Like, I actually thought some of that was done very, very well. If you only played it before they fixed or patched things about the combat, well, they only fixed one thing, right? They only fixed one thing because the one thing that they fixed was you taking damage on the ground. My primary frustration was not taking damage on the ground. Taking damage on the ground was 100%. It added to, I think, the frustration, but it wasn't the crux of the frustration. It was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. It was like, so not only are you knocking me on the ground a lot, and I lay on the ground a stupid amount of time, like it's extremely long, but you're also damaging me while I'm on the ground. 10-4 copy that. Sounds about right. I wonder if it's just about you as a person in your tribe versus Aloy, herself. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see them. I just don't see them doing that, Butters, in a very meaningful way. I don't see them saying, hey, we need to make sure and really expand the story for Aloy in VR. Like, you know what I mean? I hope any VR story content is at least later released in like a video format for all the non-VR people. Yeah, especially if you want to know like what happened, right? Like release it like a series on YouTube or something. There's realism, says Reese's videos, and then there's too realistic. I think Horizon Forbidden West went too realistic in that area. Right, like you have to create the illusion of threat while empowering the player to feel awesome and strong. Like if we really break it down, like if you're really going to try and take the realism angle with me, the whole thing is absurd. You have a woman, one woman, as a matter of fact. It's not like you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, right? You don't have like a tribe of women going out there. You have one woman all by herself with a bow and arrow taking on like machines of ridiculous size, okay? Even if you picked the strongest physical large character you could find, you make a male character the size of, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime, and you throw him out there with a bow and arrow, it would still feel absurd. It would still feel silly, right? You've got an athletically, you know, built, you know, small-framed, you know, strong woman out there, but she's just wielding a bow and arrow at the end of the day and a spear. So, like, trying to claim like it's, oh, we're going for realism here. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? She'd get hit one time by their tail and she'd be dead. Her back would be broken. The same would have happened to anybody. It doesn't matter how big or muscular they are. You put Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson out there, one tail whip from these dinosaurs would kill him, right? And so, the realism angle, I actually think is better if it's maintained, as I said, and like, it happens every once in a while. You know? It's like, okay, you got absolutely smacked by that enemy and it really hurt you. You got thrown back, you landed on the ground, you took a ton of damage, it's kind of scary. You know, if you use, think of it this way, there are moments in the Dark Souls games and Elden Ring where you make a mistake and you get absolutely chunked. Like an enemy is like dragging its big axe across the ground, or it jumps in the air and slams. And when you mess up and you get nailed, you're like, oh my goodness, this guy hits so hard. Now, if every attack that guy did was like that, and he hit you with a lot of consistency, okay, it'd get really annoying. It would start to lose its punch. It would be like, man, this happens a ton. Good morning, Zubair. I'll take Prime Arnold any day of the week. He took out the Predator. Horizon Forbidden West wanted to really bring in 30-foot bosses that turn on a dime and mess with the camera. Can someone tell the devs to bugger off out of the Guerrilla Dev Studios? I never felt like that was going on. I never felt like the camera was messing up. Absolutely not. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would make the dino his pet. Yeah. Jaffe Gaming Academia says, this is very interesting because I feel like the combat in Ghost steps on itself way too much, and I platinum Ghost, so I have no personal beef with it, but the combat's too dependent on animations. What do you mean by it steps on itself too much and has too many animations? Like, in what way? I'm curious about what you mean. These are the facts, as Duvet says, because I think the tremor mechanic is realistic but annoying. For example, the Thunderjaw will stomp around you and make you stumble, but it doesn't do damage. It's just for immersion. Well, yeah, I think that's fine. I think I don't expect every enemy to be like respectful and calm. Like, I definitely don't think that is. I don't think that's a requirement. I definitely think that at some level you have to suspend your realism and allow the player to feel awesome. I'm not saying you always have to. But I'm saying if you don't, it hurts the mystery and the illusion. It doesn't feel like you're this amazing warrior. You feel like a freaking crash test dummy. Yo, good morning, Siege Master. My latest niece was born early this morning. Looks like it'll be a good day. Oh, congrats, man. That's awesome. Did I enjoy Horizon or Elden Ring more? I enjoyed them for different reasons. I think I enjoyed Elden Ring more overall because, like, Elden Ring got sour at the end, but there were still things I could kind of do to make it better. Like, I could go and, yo, it's good, Heavy Metal Mama. I could, like, go and do dungeons or go and explore or go respec or whatever. Forbidden West, I felt like, again, kind of similar to Elden Ring. It felt like it just kind of fell on its face. You know what I mean? It's like, as the further I got, the less appealing it became. And I liked Forbidden West's story throughout the entire time. I didn't like how they kept pulling the veil back, but I think overall the story was excellent, especially if you take the time to talk to different characters and learn about their backstories. I thought some of the reveals with the one character in particular that you find and you bring them into the base and they're down there, and whenever you're talking to them, they're kind of freaking out. I'm trying to stay vague just in case people, haven't played it yet. I thought those storytelling elements were really good. They did it one or too many times where they thought, well, I have an idea. Let's make the character and the player think that we're doing A, but what we're really doing is Q. And it's like, what? It's okay to do that once or twice, but I feel like at least 4 different times during the video game, you're not really sure what's happening or who the real enemy is or who the real boss is or who's good or who's bad. It's like, this is the threat. No, this is the real threat. No, this is the real threat. Haha, you thought this was the real threat? This was the real threat all along. It's like, okay, you guys did that a few too many times, okay? You did it a few too many times, all right? We get it. We get it. You like pulling the wool over our eyes and then yanking it away to reveal who the real big bad wolf is. But it felt like one of those dolls that you pop the top off. You're like, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. And it felt like they kept doing it. I still like the story. As a storytelling mechanic, I felt that lost its punch after like the second or third time that they did it. I thought the characters were unbelievable. Like there's a guy that loses his arm. I think he's my favorite character. They do kill a character. They don't hold back. And the writing I think is very well done. Something I think that the writers at Horizon Zero at Guerrilla, they did this with Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, and I thought this is something that you have to appreciate it when you see it, because it's actually, I think, really challenging to do. And I felt that they did a good job with this in the Elder Scrolls Online. They establish story, characters, world, and lore with the smallest amount of text possible. And I think that's incredibly difficult to do. I remember in Zero Dawn going around to all the people in town and talking to them and exhausting the dialogue. And I remember being like, I just learned so much about this game, its people, their customs, their beliefs. There's backstory here, there's tension. And I did it in a very short amount of time, and I got to interact with characters that sounded real and sounded like very well voice acted. And it was all, I think it was all done very very excellently. And I think that that's something that doesn't get enough praise in the Forbidden West and Zero Dawn games, is that if you really want to take the game the distance, you really want to go all the way and really feel like there's constantly great things to discover and great things happening, I feel like they give you the ability to do that. You can really look into all the different character development, story arcs, and lore pieces if you want. I think I'm in the minority, but I enjoyed the end bosses in Elden Ring, and maybe because I was like level 160 to 170 with Moonveil Magic, with a Moonveil Magic build, so the bosses were challenging but not annoying. So I came to a realization on Friday, and I think I know what we're going to do with Elden Ring. I don't know if this is going to work to only play Elden Ring on Friday, though. I think we might have to pepper it throughout the week, because I don't think I can do the once a week thing if this is the route that we want to take. So obviously, when the news is dry, maybe we could just start having some afternoon sessions in Elden Ring. We don't want to be doing Elden Ring Monday through Friday again, but I think we could maybe pepper it throughout the week if possible. So we tried something on Friday that just didn't work. I tried a parry build, and parrying in Elden Ring is very different and very weird than what I'm accustomed to, and it didn't feel intuitive and it didn't feel good. So I walked away from the parry build and thought, okay, let's do a sword and magic build, because people are constantly telling me that, you know, if I had a more diverse build, I'd be able to enjoy these fights more, blah, 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 blah. So I go into the game with a parry, with a magic build. I pick a prisoner. I got a magic. I got sword, and I'm going through and I'm doing stuff. And even when I'm fighting the most basic characters, it doesn't feel smooth. It doesn't feel good. And part of that is because it's not intuitive to me. That's not how I'm wired. And so I feel as if I'm sort of forcing the issue. It's like, I'm a square peg. This is a round hole. This isn't working. This doesn't feel fluid. This doesn't feel good. I'm going to have to take the time to learn this build, right? And then we got to Margit, and it really was clear to me that, like, this isn't going to work. If I'm going to play through this entire game and do a no summons playthrough, like, let's go find every dadgum boss, every dungeon, every optional boss, every dragon, every single punk, right, that we can fight in that game, and we're going to do it with absolutely no summoning. Now, I'm not throwing shade at people who summon, because I summoned like crazy my first playthrough, but I would like to challenge myself. If I'm going to do that, I need to pick a build that I'm incredibly comfortable with. I think I need to go just go strength build with a shield. And that's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy. There's opportunities for guard counter. I think sword and board is just more in line with how I play and how my mind works. So that's what we're going to do. And the hope would be is we would end up with a really, really great series and a great playlist of basically every boss in the game will eventually get conquered with just a strength, sword and board build, no summoning, right? If I'm at home in the play style, that's my best shot at this attempt. So I got on the phone with Creature. I said, I think the problem is I hit myself from both sides. It's like, well, let's not summon and let's play in a way that I'm really uncomfortable with. And it just didn't work. I wasn't enjoying it, and it just doesn't make for great gameplay. So I think that can be an amazing playlist. I think that can make for, you know, amazing content. I think it can really drive a debate. But I also think that if I'm going to do that, it can't just be on Fridays. It can't. Because I'll lose my sharpness, I'll lose my finesse. So, all right, we're an hour in. Let's set our sights on 200 likes, guys. We're still not in a great place, and I don't know what it is. I cannot attribute it to topic selection because it's all over the place. Even Elden Ring on Friday was not exceptionally strong for us. So make sure you're smashing the like button. It does help out the video. Make sure you're on live chat. Even if you're just coming in and saying good morning, say good morning. Kind of help us get this thing pushed, because we are still struggling to get the core audience is just not showing up all of a sudden, and it's got to be YouTube still. So if you don't see me throughout the week, please check your subscription feed and check my YouTube channel. We stream Monday through Friday, and a lot of the new subs and long-standing subs I just don't think are seeing us because YouTube's fiddling with stuff, and it's still we are really hurting. It is so bizarre. It's like we literally got kicked down the stairs. So we gotta have that push every morning, especially that first hour. First hour's got to be really strong. I see your stuff. Just started a new job. Hard to get in. Yeah, it's not everybody. They're doing like regional testing, Alex. So some people are having to actually come to my channel to find the streams. They're trying and experimenting with like A/B testing for live streams. And so there's good that comes from that, and there's bad that comes from that. Right now, we're experiencing some of the bad. So we just need anybody. You guys that show up every day are amazing. Like the fact that we're having the turnout that we're having, and we're able to still put up productive days is largely because we do have a very committed audience that like always checks to make sure if I'm live, and so we appreciate that support very, very much. Almost everyone was off work and busy this past Friday. Well, that was our strongest day of the week, so that's not really saying much. Since the last patch, YouTube has been really weird. Yeah, they're pushing out like UI changes and updates. So just make sure if you enjoy this show and this channel, just check it every day, because it's extremely rare for me to not be live on this channel Monday through Friday. You asked about my take on Ghost of Tsushima's combat and why I think it steps on itself. I would say that the enemies slide or jump an unrealistic distance, and certain attack animations and the ghost tools make the game a little too easy. See, I definitely have had people say that the ghost tools can make elements of the game way too easy, like you can really crutch on the smoke and stuff. But I have always been pretty stubborn when it comes to those things. I was stubborn in Sekiro. I didn't use the prosthetic or the weapon, not the weapon arts, the shinobi arts. I didn't use a lot of that stuff in almost the back half of that game. I was only using it if I really felt like it would help, and even then I didn't like to. So I think one of the reasons I love Ghost so much is I did mostly just pure blade, like just going blade to blade. I didn't use a lot of the ghost tools in Ghost of Tsushima. Greg says, it's getting annoying because YouTube keeps suggesting videos from similar channels, and I have my own channels I like to watch already. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're doing. I'm really not. We're hoping that they're getting ready to roll out some really good things that would help us, because it would make up for what they're doing in the meantime. Because we came over here in September. For those of you that don't know, we actually have two channels. We will be doing a show over on Reforge Radio today. We'll be doing another show on gaming here. We actually moved the gaming show over here in September. And we've been doing this for about 6 months. And it's been going really well, literally until like last week when YouTube pushed some kind of a silly button. So if you want to make sure all these things keep humming, you just got to make sure and do that thing where you tune in, check it out, do all the things. Witcher 3 or Red Dead Redemption 2 better experience for you? Oh, which game? They're so different. I played Red Dead Redemption 2 a lot more than Witcher 3. They're both games that are really hard to play at length, though, because as a streamer, people just check out really quickly, so you can't play a game like that at length unless if that's your brand, like if that's what you're known for, you can, but a lot of content creators can't do that. The top 3 hardest FromSoft games according to you? Well, unfortunately, I've not played Dark Souls 1, 2. I've not played Demon Souls to completion. I've played it a little bit, but I haven't played Dark Souls 1 or 2 at all. I have not played Demon Souls, and I've not played Bloodborne. I want to play Bloodborne, but I need it to come out at a higher frame rate. So, and Chest Pain's doing all the commands in chat. Those are all the various ways you can support. The 2 greatest ways to support what we do is buy some coffee, which we've already sold 2 orders of coffee this morning. That's amazing. 3 bags of dark roast to Silent Warrior. Love the coffee. I can't order 5 at a time anymore. That's weird. Silent Warrior coming back for round 2. He ordered 6 bags of coffee. Thank you, Silent Warrior. I don't know why we did that. We were having an issue that made us limit quantity, and I don't know why. Can't wait for Witcher 3 Next Gen update. It just got delayed recently. It's not coming as soon as they wanted to do it. Fletchmeister says, thanks, Lono. I don't care for Elden Ring, but I love your content and enjoy listening to your stream and occasional rage. So now my YouTube's full of Elden Ring videos and streams. I'm sorry. I blame California. Oh, Creature's working on it. Okay. I think we limited it for certain countries, but you shouldn't be limited to that on in America. So, yeah, guys, order some coffee, join our Discord, or become a paying member. Those are all the things you can do to support the channel. Games like Witcher and Red Dead are suited more for YouTube playthrough vids instead of streaming. Right. Exactly. Like, I would love to do an entire playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima, black and white, lethal. I would love to do that. Just like, to me, that's like creating art with art, right? I would love to do that. But the problem is, I think we would probably not. It wouldn't be a very good idea. We'd get on like the second or third episode, and I'm like, yeah, we can't do this, right? You get to a certain size, and you can definitely do that. You know what I'm saying? If you got the pull. I think I saw PewDiePie recently, literally playing through Ghost of Tsushima for the first time, or maybe for the second time. I don't know. But I saw it in my feed really, really recently. He had played that game, and that's just a luxury, you got to kind of earn. Yo, good morning, Hex. I thought it was delayed until the second half of the year. Yeah, the Witcher 3 next-gen update, it got pushed back, for sure. For sure. They recently talked about that, because we covered the fact that the expansions for Cyberpunk are also not happening this year. They got pushed back as well. So, if you're enjoying the stream and you want to ask us some questions or chime in, make sure you're subscribed. We'd love to hear what you think about this. Horizon Forbidden West getting a sequel and DLC confirmed by the creative director of Guerrilla. And I've been kind of criticizing Horizon Forbidden West combat. There were elements of it that I found very unenjoyable. And I'm basically saying, listen, whatever they do with DLC and the sequel, I'd like to see some of these things improved. If you liked Forbidden West or didn't like it, we want to know why or why not. They pushed it back with no time frame, says Eugene. To be fair, PewDiePie could do a stream eating cereal and farting and still pull 20K. Well, what I'm saying is, though, is like, he's obviously the extreme, but you can earn that right. You know what I mean? You can earn that right. You can say, okay, hey, here's this series I'm going to do. And when you have the volume, it works. And we just aren't there. I mean, you can clearly see we don't have the volume. Like, all it took was them flipping one switch and we got gutted. Like, that's all it took. And like, we got absolutely gutted, like, overnight. And so we're going to have to just keep pushing and keep doing our thing and just covering the variety gaming news and grabbing what we think is good and enjoyable. This afternoon, we'll be talking about No Man's Sky Outlaws and why I think it's a great time to jump in, but why I also think it's rough on returning players in certain ways. Sekiro or Elden Ring, which one is more challenging? Sekiro, no question. Sekiro is the hardest. I've not played Dark Souls 2, but I think Sekiro, out of the ones I've played, is the hardest. I played Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, and Elden Ring. What bothers me is that games like Godfall got low Metacritics on PS5, then it came to Xbox, and people who didn't play it did not recommend it because it got low scores. I did beat it, it's good. I think Godfall's got potential, but when we wanted to cover it and play it, their launch on Xbox was a frickin' joke. Like, hey, it's launching on this date. Okay, cool. Can't install it at midnight. Okay. Can't install it at noon. Oh, okay. Is it launching today? Like, with respect, it's 2022. If you tell me a game is launching on a particular day, and it doesn't land at midnight installable, and it doesn't land at noon Eastern, what the frick is my expectation supposed to be? What am I playing this the last hour of the day? Like, when's this available? But did you win Elden Ring? I downloaded No Man's Sky this weekend. Gonna try and boot it up this evening. It's good, man. It's good. Like, I wish I could transfer my save and just play it on my PS5, because then I would just load it up in my living room and, just periodically play casually and just enjoy it. But we unfortunately, that's another, like, No Man's Sky is probably one of the greatest games we can't play. You know what I mean? Is No Man's Sky Outlaws worth it for a new player? It's like $10 on Steam for me. I think so. That's what the second show today is about. I'll give you a lot more reasons than what I just said. I love the show, but some days the topic don't hit, so I listen to other things. Oh, no, that's not a problem, Lord Rain. Like, if you don't show up, I don't want you to ever feel guilty about not showing up. That's normal, right? We have 13,000 subscribers. If they were all showing up every day, we would be the kings of the internet to get entire sub-saturation engagement. It's always going to be that way, right? It's always going to be that way. YouTube is attempting to help us. They're trying to get live streams in better placement on the platform, but in the process, they've jacked something up, and existing subs are not seeing us. Random question, but what's your number one indie on PS5 right now? My number one indie? I mean, if you consider Returnal an indie, then Returnal, but I don't know if we can consider them an indie. That's my main issue with traditional review sites, says Ant. You don't get a true review. Casual Billy will spend his $80 on Call of Duty, and then, he'll do that instead of Godfall. Well, listen, I feel bad for any game that's attempting to fix itself, that's like living beneath the shadow of bad reviews, but Godfall kind of did it to itself. It launched and was bad. It launched and had problems. Not everybody can get out from underneath that shadow. Like, it took a really, really long time for No Man's Sky to get out from underneath the shadow. It took a really, really, really long time, because if you're going to have that bad launch, first impressions are going to have a humongous impact on basically everything. It's going to be like, so think about it like this. Like, reviews are going to hit, then word of mouth's going to spread. You know, it's constant. It's freaking constant. You're right, I forgot Housemarque got acquired since launch. I mean, we could say Housemarque's size makes them kind of like indie, but I don't know. I tried Godfall not too long ago. Combat felt clunky and outdated. I thought it felt good, not great. I thought it had potential when I played it, a couple of months ago. Anthem never got out of that shadow and ended up being taken out. For sure. Is God of War worth $40 on PC right now, or should I wait for a sale? I think God of War on PC is worth full price. I think God of War on PC is worth full price, personally. I don't think you necessarily need to wait for a sale. Like, there's nothing about God of War that would make you want to wait for a sale. It's a magnificent game. The port is incredibly stable. Incredibly stable. So the idea that need to wait for a sale, I don't think is there. I don't think it's needed. Rattlehead with a $2 tip says, love the show but wish you had a co-host. I don't. No Man's Sky is more of an exception to the rule, really. Not many games that launch that bad rebuild like they did. Yeah, it is. It's unusual. It's definitely unusual. They're certainly not a common. You're not going to find that to be a very common thing, because what ends up happening is consumer confidence goes down, engagement goes down. That means, investment and wanting to, continue to spend money and wanting to continue to invest in the game. That's understandably going to go down. That's understandably going to get lower. And so I think it's really, really hard for companies to do that. Like, once they drop below what they're supposed to be on that launch week, I don't think recovering is likely. That doesn't mean it can't happen. But I think fixing is unlikely. I think extremely unlikely. The circumstances leading to the launch product were also unusual. It really is a case of just having to just release. Does Lono like Lego Star Wars? I thought Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga was really, really good. Yes, I thought it was very, very good. Don't play it linearly, though. If you're going to play it, you just can't play it linearly. Someone tell that to CD Projekt Red. Well, I mean, look at CD Projekt Red as an example. Like, come on. They ruin consumer confidence. They drop all their share value. Like, nobody really believes in the game. Everybody feels like trust has been broken. Every patch that comes out now is celebrated by loyalists and sort of sneered at by the cynics. Right? And I'm constantly told by people who love the game that, like, I haven't given it a complete, a fair shake or whatever, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, the the launch of that game is always going to hang over it. No matter how much they do to fix it. I actually think Cyberpunk is on its landing. What do I want to say? They're circling for a landing. You know what I'm saying? I think Cyberpunk is circling for a landing. I think they'll deliver a couple more expansions, maybe one or two, and that's them kind of landing the game. That's it. It's done after that. I don't think they'll do much more with it. So, end of next year, you'll probably get your final expansion push. They'll probably do an expansion early next year for Cyberpunk, like spring, and then hopefully, kind of like rejuvenate the game, and then they'll do one holiday, and that'll be the end. At that point, they'll be all Witcher. I don't know. Like, even Horizon Forbidden West suffered from this when it launched. The performance issues was a huge focus, and a lot of people continually brought that up anytime I was playing the game. I stand by what I say. A lot of people gave CD Projekt Red too much credit when their only real standout title was The Witcher 3. Not to say that you can't have faith, but I mean, they aren't Naughty Dog or Insomniac. I again think it was the substance and the size of The Witcher 3, and then because of the bugs and problems, the way they treated the game after the fact really, really won people over. People felt as if they were really, really able to trust them and trust the process in the future. And again, the Witcher 1 and 2 were also hailed as pretty good games. They weren't like groundbreaking, but they were hailed as good games. Why do you think No Man's Sky still hasn't started charging for content? It blows my mind. The funnel from people buying the game at full price must be healthy enough because they're a small company. Witcher 3 sold 40 million. That's pretty standout. Yeah. I mean, that's stellar. That's stellar sales figures. And then everything they did after, I think, really, really earned them a lot of trust and a lot of confidence from consumers. So yeah, we're kind of off subject. We're only an hour in. We're off subject. It's not surprising. But as far as games trying to make a comeback, I genuinely think consumer confidence plays a huge role. And No Man's Sky, essentially, I think they didn't rebuild consumer confidence, but I think they gave people a vision really quickly after the game launched for like what they could do. Their first two updates were close enough to game launch. I think one was 6 months out. There was another one at like 9, and then like a year out. I wonder what the timeline is on all that stuff. I feel like by the time they got about a year in, I think everybody looked at that game very differently. It was like, even the people that hadn't given it on a second chance yet, even the people that had not given it a second chance yet were saying, what's going on over there? Like, they're still pushing out updates. They're still updating that game. There was still an interest. People were still curious. It was sort of like watching, a car crash. People wanted to see if they were actually going to be able to put things back on track. We're always off subject. I like to try to stay on subject for about an hour and a half or close to the 2-hour mark, just because if new people come in, it can be a little confusing. But we are quite literally doing the best that we can, and it just is not. It's not working very well. So I'm just following the lead. I'm just following the chat's lead at that point. It's like that's the best I can do. I feel like the first 2 or 3 years was stuff that would have been in at launch. Yeah. Oh, definitely the first year for sure. I don't know about the second or third year, but I know the first year to year and a half, anything they put in No Man's Sky felt like launch title content. When did that game originally release? Was it 2017? 2016. Wow. It's been 6 years. I didn't realize that. Yeah, it's a month. I'm not a month away. It's a summers away from being a 6-year-old game. My opinion on Outriders, I think Outriders could significantly redeem itself if they could fix their sound. I think sound design is god awful, and I think that makes it really hard to play a game with so much shooting and so much, combat going on. And I also think that Outriders has the potential to be a really, really good ongoing. It has the potential to be a really good ongoing game. It does. But I think they've got a lot of work to do. I think they recently made good changes to their end game that gives me confidence that they could get it into where it needs to be, right? They certainly could. Because I think that was one of the things that people really took issue with Outriders was, okay, there were balance issues. There were certain classes that felt like they absolutely sucked, and then there was the end game felt kind of sloppy. The end game felt kind of all over the place. So I think that the changes they recently made to the end game shows a lot of promise, and I think it's made a lot of people sort of question whether or not they want to jump back in. What I would be curious about is how they manage that if they want to do ongoing. So if you think about it in that perspective, like, what are you going to do? Are you just going to keep adding like new compartments? If so, what's the reason of going and running those compartments? New loot. Yeah, but new loot for what? If you're maxed out and your character's really, really strong and you've been playing the end game for who knows how long, well then what possible reason could you have to go into new Outriders content? That's always a question with a game like that, is you're coming to characters and players who have been playing and are committed and they have all this stuff, and you're being like, hey, we got more stuff for you to do. And the question that will almost always inevitably come up is, why would I do any of that? What's the actual point? And if it's just to acquire more things, I think that's the problem. You have to create a sense of progression and linear movement. Maybe you're expanding the map. Maybe you've got new story. Maybe you've got new classes. Maybe you've got new power thresholds. Maybe those new power thresholds leads to new content, and that new content's more challenging. Like, if you don't do any of that, then I think, I don't know. I feel like games like that are going to struggle, because there's always going to be that question of, what's the point? I've already got everything. To get back to topic, I'm thinking this Horizon DLC needs a multiplayer aspect. Not the game is bad without it, but considering flying mount and co-op was planned for Zero Dawn. Yeah, the thing with co-op that I wonder... See, sometimes I wonder if they test things and they think... Because I got the impression... Horizon Forbidden West... gameplay, from the very beginning, I was like, okay, there seems to be a cooperative element here. They're constantly showing you on mission and going places with your friends, with Varl and Aaron. They're constantly coming with you. You always have somebody that's like tagging along. Tattling. I'm thinking of my kids right now. Tagging along. There's always somebody tagging along on a mission. And I thought maybe they were thinking through, co-op. And maybe that's why some of the enemies are hyper aggressive. And maybe that's why their attack frequencies feel overtuned. Because they were considering, there might be another person with you. And if there's another person with you, we need you both to be attacked fairly regularly, or it's going to really, it's going to feel like easy mode. It's not going to feel engrossing or exciting. Like, nobody wants to play a co-op game that basically becomes a different game than the game that they were playing 2 minutes ago. Like, well, now that it's co-op, it's a joke. I mean, they did this brilliantly with Returnal. Because of the way that they balanced it, almost organically. I thought it was brilliant. What game died out fast was Tiny Tina's. Yeah, Gearbox Gearbox quite literally screwed that game by calling it Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and they made things worse by selling Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep a month before it came out. Everybody thought it was DLC. Like, with respect to whoever made that marketing decision, they're an idiot. They basically shot that game in the gut before it ever had a chance to do anything. It should have been called Borderlands 4. That's what it should have been called. It should not have been called Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And if you were really going to try to drive home the fact that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was a whole new title with all new mechanics and all new things and all this great new stuff, you shouldn't have sold Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep as a standalone, since that's not what it was intended to be anyway. It was a DLC to capstone Borderlands 2. It's the best Borderlands to date, and they shot it in the gut. It was like, I don't know, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Like, if I was the team that worked on that, I'd be so frustrated with how that game probably undersold. And it has everything, it has everything to do with the title. It has everything to do with the title of that game. Let's look at I want to check something about that game. Tiny Tina Wonderlands Metacritic. An 80 from this. Why are the reviewers giving it such a low score? The PC's a 5.7. Was that because of all the problems at launch? It got a 77 and a 6.6. Oh, it probably got obliterated. It probably got obliterated because nobody could play the almost the entire opening weekend. The whole shift system was down. I bet you it got obliterated. The reviews, it's getting tanked on Metacritic by the users. It's got 77s and 80s from the reviewers, and then it's got really low scores from the users. Should have called it Borderlands Wonderlands. Yeah, Borderlands 4, the Wonderlands or something. It got review bombed because of launch issues. Yeah, the launch issues were really frustrating. You couldn't even play on you couldn't even do local. You couldn't even do local area network gaming. It was awful. Guys, if you're tuning in for Horizon Forbidden West DLC news or the sequel, we'd love to answer your questions. We've been talking about how, we kind of knew this was coming, but I have been saying that if they're going to do a sequel, like a Horizon Zero Dawn 3 or a Horizon 3, whatever they end up calling it, I think they need to make adjustments to the combat. I found there were elements of Horizon Forbidden West combat that were not enjoyable or lacking or lacked polish, and I would like to see those things improve. Now, I don't think those things will see improvement in the in the DLC. That's incredibly unlikely, but I definitely think there's something to be considered with respect to how they decide to go forward with, hey, the next game, we've got to really think about this. How can you create massive, monstrous threats in Horizon Forbidden West gameplay without making it feel as if the player's just getting smacked around all the time? That's generally what frustrated me about it. To be fair, calling it Borderlands 3 would be awesome. Play on the fact that the original Borderlands 3 was a bit trash. That wouldn't be a good marketing decision at all. It would just confuse people. The DLC is just going to be more Chaos Dungeons as well. No story DLC. I'm kind of upset. I got the season pass, but I love Borderlands and Gearbox. However, this time I got screwed. Well, wait and see what comes out. What did I not enjoy about the combat? So let me give you a rundown. So Horizon Forbidden West combat attempted to do something that the first game did not. And what they attempted to do was make the enemies more hyper aware of what you're doing with respect to aggro, so they can see you and they know what you're doing. And they can capitalize on that awareness with two things: a heightened sense of attack frequency, and everybody basically gets a range attack. So even your most basic enemy has a range attack. Now, what I have consistently said is it made Horizon Forbidden West gameplay feel very flat tire, spammy, and stun locky. It was like I'm constantly getting spammed and stun locked and knocked down. Now, enough people complained about the getting knocked down thing. Enough people complained about that to give the developers at least a reason to tweak it at some level. So what they did is they went in and said, okay, well, when you're on the ground, you can't take damage. Now, I personally think the fact that they had to do that is a sign that the combat in and of itself isn't designed well. And what I mean is this. You shouldn't have needed to be told that when a player gets knocked on the ground, damaging them while they're laying on the ground is generally seen as a combat faux pas. They shouldn't have needed to be told that. That should have been sort of a given, okay? And I also don't think they should need to be told that if the player's getting knocked down in an abundance and they're laying there for a really long time and they're taking damage while laying there, these are fundamental betrayals of virtually all combat systems and expectations that most players have. I feel like these are fundamental issues, okay? And so the fact that they need to be told, like, hey, you can't really damage us when we're laying on the ground. Oh, and by the way, why does she have to get knocked down so much? Oh, and also, when she's being knocked down, why does she have to lay there such an inordinate amount of time? It completely breaks combat rhythm. Yo, thank you so much, Jimiford. Thanks for stopping by. What about calling it Borderlands the pre-sequel 2? They could have called it Borderlands the second pre-sequel or whatever. Like, they could have called it Borderlands the non-sequel. Be like, this is not a sequel. And it would have made everybody intrigued. What do you mean it's a non-sequel? Well, it's not really a sequel. It's a complete offshoot fantasy land with brand new mechanics and things never before seen in a Borderlands game. So you should have called it Borderlands the non-sequel, and everybody would have been interested. Did you watch Skillup's review of Forbidden West? His most favorite thing about the game was the combat, and he went into detail about why he enjoyed it so much. Interesting to hear both views. Usually Skillup and I are in lockstep agreement, and I don't agree with him. I think the combat was one of the weakest parts of Forbidden West. I found it to be very unenjoyable and irritating. It didn't feel like it flowed well. It didn't feel like it was designed well. It felt again like it felt like they were constantly spamming you as a player. It felt as if it came down to attack frequency. It came down to attack frequency. I can't say it another way. Calling it the non-sequel is pretty on brand for Borderlands. Yes, like the irreverent, silly, don't take yourself too serious humor, and then everybody would have been interested. What do you mean? It's a new Borderlands, but it's not a sequel? And then everybody would have been interested. Everybody thought it was DLC. I'm so angry about this. Maybe we should do an entire show about that. Like, Tiny Tina Wonderlands screwed by Gearbox. Just absolutely screwed that title by calling it that. I think the ranged combat is good and the melee combat is terrible. I actually liked the melee combat a lot in Forbidden West. I felt like it gave me a really, really good sense of options. So what I would do is I'd shoot them, roll, and then as they'd get close, I'd kind of roll into a melee and get my crit on them. I actually thought the melee added significant alternatives to just sort of run away and shoot or run away or whatever. People will eventually come around because it's the best Borderlands ever made. I mean, sure, but I don't know. I think it's super unfortunate because we all know games get their most sales during those the launch weeks. What's new? They screwed Battleborn and a lot of Borderlands 3. Right, yeah. Gearbox, a history of ruining their own titles. Like, a history of ruining their own IP. Whatever you want to call it. Academia says, I think I really can just agree with the knockdown frequency and time to get up, but I don't think I could complain about the machine attacks because you can destroy parts to stop certain attacks. Okay, well, let me say this then. Academia. If you came to the table, let's say you worked for Guerrilla and you came to the table and said, hey, buddy, we hear you on the knockdown frequency and how long it takes you to get back up. We're going to address that. You know what I would say? You just fixed 80% of the problem. You just fixed 80% of the problem. If I'm not knocked down as easily, okay, if some of these attacks are like, take some of the attacks and just say, should this really knock her down? Does everything need to knock her down? Does everything need to stun her? Okay, and minimize how often I'm getting knocked down and minimize how long I'm on the ground when I do get knocked down. I feel like that's 80% of the problem. Because then what you do is now you've got an intensity and you've got a fluidity that would feel really, really good instead of like, oh, I'm on the ground again. Oh, I'm on the ground again. Stun lock, stun lock, stun lock. Like, if you remove that aspect of the combat, I don't think you have to mess with the aggression of the enemies. I don't think you have to mess with their attack frequency. I think Horizon Forbidden West gameplay would excel immediately if you address those two things. I don't think they made it clear it was a standalone game. I'm not convinced the naming of it would have had an impact at all. Seems like a good name to me. Okay, well, Baba Yaga, they certainly made things worse when they decided to say, hey, we know that Tiny Tina Wonderlands is almost here. Before it gets here, we're going to sell Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep as a standalone DLC. As one of the dumbest cash grabs I think I've ever seen. Yes, I'm using my least favorite phrase, cash grab. There was no reason to sell that DLC. None. It was perfect as a capstone ender to Borderlands 2. It did not need to be sold as a standalone. So it muddied the waters. You gonna get that new Tiny Tina game? Nah. No, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep, that's just a DLC. No. The other Tiny Tina's thing. What's the other Tiny Tina's thing? Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Oh, that's just a DLC. No, it's not. It's a full game. I don't know, man. I'm not, like, that's just terrible. They really made it hard for people to understand what the frick was going on. Like, what? Just stupid. It's a valid point, too, though, because I don't think she has to do the blank ear cuff for every scream the heavyweight machines do. Okay, here we have an article from Game Rant. Horizon Forbidden West leak indicates DLC and online store may be coming. The Twitter account says that the VSC rating board, which rates video games in the UK using the PEGI system, released a new video that aims to explain why Horizon Forbidden West received its age rating. The video opens by introducing the setting and story of this series and confirms that Horizon Forbidden West is rated PEGI 16, mainly due to its depiction of violence. It then explains that players can connect to an online storefront in Horizon Forbidden West, allowing them to purchase future DLC. It specifically uses the term DLC expansions, and it ends by recommending other games similar to the Horizon series. So, according to this video from the VSC rating board, Games Rating UK on Twitter, at Games Rating UK on Twitter, according to this, there is DLC expansions on the way, and that there will be an online store you can purchase them in. I don't know if that means there'll be a store inside Forbidden West. Players can connect to an online storefront in Horizon Forbidden West, allowing them to purchase future DLC. That might be just poor phrasing, but that would be really interesting. Why would you have a store inside Forbidden West? I don't necessarily know why you would do that. They also gave it away. Gave what away? Do you think Gearbox is going to have a hit with the movie, though? No. I think the movie is going to get memed very harshly. It's just my prediction. What did Fletch say? Derek's responding to Fletch and saying he played it and shut it off after a couple of hours. What did Fletch say? I can't find his comment. What? Oh no, Fletch Meister. I got Assault on Dragon's Keep on for free on Epic, and then you were talking about it coming out and playing it, and I was really confused. Yeah, see? They screwed it. They totally screwed the pooch. So if you guys missed it, there was a Horizon Forbidden West leak that's basically indicating DLC expansions are on the way. Now, we don't need this article. This article is old. It's 2 months old. We have concrete admission from the creative director at Guerrilla that DLC's on the way, as well as a sequel. The Borderlands movie is going to make the Doom movie look like Good Will Hunting. Someone keeps to stop them from making TV shows and movies from games. Well, maybe they do a store like AC Valhalla, but the customizable features don't stack up. Yeah, I don't know. Didn't know they were doing movies. That'll be interesting for sure. Yeah, they literally have Kevin Hart for Roland. Yeah, Kevin Hart's playing Roland. The movie will be funny. Remember they made a whole showcase in 2019 and 2020 for their E3? Yeah. The Sonic movies were decent, not great. Oh, I don't know. They got the Sonic movies did very well. You don't have to like them, but I think they did very well, probably for good reason. I would think they did well for good reason. I don't know. Terry Crews should have been Roland. He's a little too large. Roland's not supposed to be quite that large. Terry Crews is ginormous. He's got like the swagger and the attitude. Roland in Borderlands 1 was much different than Roland in Borderlands 2. That's for sure. That is for sure. I thought they ruined his character in Borderlands 2, personally. It was like a different person. It was literally like listening to a different person. It was like, what happened? Vault Hunter. Give me 1 second. I'll take care of this. Got this 1,000-yard dead-eyed stare. Did I seriously not type up... I didn't type up freaking tags for this. I messed up. I swear I did. I didn't. Oh, well. So our second show today is going to be about No Man's Sky Outlaws and why it's a good time to jump in. And we are going to be breaking that down. I tried it out. I tried out the new Expedition as well. Let's go ahead and do that too. And this afternoon on Reforge Radio, we are going to be talking about these Christians who broke out in song on a plane, and everybody's chiming in on what they think about it. It went viral, and obviously a lot of people have thoughts. Happened right around Easter too, as these things tend to happen. And I wanted to react as somebody who, you know, I've been a little bit more open about this. I am a Christian. And yeah, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the video. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on this thing as it continues to happen, because I think there's something deeper going on than just people being like, we were just, you know, praising the Lord. No. Shut up. But I'll tell you why that's my take this afternoon on Reforge Radio. I thought there's a psychologist out in LA talking about certain things, and I thought we were going to end up talking about that. But when I saw that video, I thought, yeah, let me give my own reaction, thoughts, and some truth to this situation, because this is absolutely ridiculous behavior. You would have been singing the loudest, right? Oh yeah. Out of It gives a whole new definition to coming down the aisle, doesn't it? Oh, golly. Come down the aisle and smack you in the mouth. That's what I'd have done. What the frick are you doing? Anyway, make sure you head over to Reforge Radio this afternoon when we cover that. Reforge Radio is there to let us cover more serious things. Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter, Will Smith, cancel culture, religion, politics, blah, blah, blah. All the things that we don't talk about here. This is purely a gaming channel. If you're enjoying the gaming discussions here, we are here Monday through Friday. Make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button if you've been enjoying the show. Make sure and press the like button. If you have not been seeing my streams in your feed, make sure you check your subscription feed, and make sure you also check your my channel. I'm here every week, Monday through Friday. YouTube's been fiddling with some stuff, and it's really hurt our turnout and our numbers. And the best thing we can do is just keep telling people to check the channel and your sub feed every day. I get it if you don't like the topics. I don't expect you to watch. I'm just saying, there are people that don't even know we're streaming. They're like, wait, where have you been? And so make sure you check those two locations. Also, if you want to support Reforge Radio, make sure you're subbed over there. We go over there in the afternoons, Eastern time, around 3 o'clock. And we really appreciate it. So we are looking into, I know this sounds crazy. Like, this sounds like, why would you do this? But I need you guys to trust me on this, okay? We are looking into simulcasting our live streams over on TikTok, and I've figured out how to do it and have really good audio, okay? Most of the streams over there have abysmal audio, so we could really stand out. That platform is really growing and taking itself more seriously with longer form content, more serious content, as well as live streams. We need 1,000 followers over there to live stream, and we're at just now at about 800. We need about 200 more people to go follow us at Reforge TV, okay? If you know friends that use that app, if you have people that you share funny TikToks with, just say, hey, throw this guy a follow so he can start live streaming over there. I've got the setup. I've got it sounding amazing. I've even got the stand right here. So here's your chat when I read it, and then right below that is where the phone will sit. It's going to be actually very seamless. It's going to be very, very seamless. So I would work on your reading of Discord chat first. No, Discord is not that's not an issue because it gets too out of control over there at times. What an omega lol this time, says Oscar. When you're on a plane, you're closer to heaven, says Paul. I made a TikTok just to follow. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I will definitely read that chat, Butters. I think Discord unfortunately made its own bed. You get unfortunately Discord created an offshoot problem for a really long time. There were months where Discord was never interacting with the topic or me. They were only interacting with each other. So I don't intentionally ignore Discord, but that's just kind of what happened. I'm trying to be better about it. It's also an abundance thing. There's 4 or 5 people talking in there. So Discord chat doesn't move all that often. So my eyes naturally just don't go over there. I'm trying to get better about it, but Discord, sadly, I'm not blaming anybody, but Discord sadly kind of did that to itself because it just became, I don't know. If Discord was ever even remotely on topic, maybe he'd read it. Yeah, Discord's commonly out in left field, talking about completely different things. And I'm not going to just read random comments about other stuff. It's not that I dislike you guys. I love you. But it's grabbing stuff off topic over there. I try and at you when on topic. Yes, if you guys at me in the Discord when you're in the live chat, don't at me just in random places in the Discord. If you at me in live stream chat, I'm way more likely to look over there and be like, oh, what are they saying, right? That's it, I'm out, says Fuzzy. Right. Creature says, oh, I blame them. Talk about derailing over here. Yeah. in any case, all of the people that helped over the weekend really push our follower count over on TikTok. We just got somebody right now to follow us over there, RCXCC. Thank you so much for doing that. I greatly appreciate it. We should be able to hit it this week, honestly, if we just keep reminding people. I don't want to hijack the show talking about it, but I definitely, we definitely want to see that as an option, right? It's just an option. Or maybe we could use live stream chat for its intended use to discuss what Lono is talking about. Yeah, maybe. That's an idea. Are there any new games you're looking forward to playing in the next 1 to 2 months? I'd have to look at the release schedule. I don't know if that much is actually happening in the next couple of months. I don't actually know. Because it's slowing down significantly. I mean, we're feeling it in the news cycle, but I'm also thinking I'm not looking and seeing anything significant. Like we went from bagging easily hitting 3,000 and 4,000 views a stream, every stream, and 20 minimum of new subs, and we can't even get 2,000 views on a stream. Like we've just been absolutely kicked just right in the face. And it's a combination of there's a drought in news and YouTube messed with something. So it's like we're getting hit from both ends. So I don't even know there's anything really happening in the next 2 months with respect to game launches. Not you care, but a lot of BR gaming news coming Wednesday. BR gaming news. That's, what do you mean? Or all the games you mean? Or like a specific game? Lono on the Zoomer platform, I'm curious. No, I actually think I'm not kidding you. I've gotten pretty good at this. I've gotten pretty good at like looking at the industry and looking at trends. I actually think that I think TikTok will be one of the more popular live streaming platforms in the next 5 years. That's what I think. So, VR. Yeah, I don't know. VR is tough to cover because, like, we covered. Let me look. We covered the Horizon VR thing like literally right after it got announced. And I think it didn't know, yeah. Back then, when that was announced, Horizon VR, PSVR 2 announcement, we covered it literally the day after, and it did terribly. And that was like the day after a major platform and a major title announced this big, huge VR thing. I think as soon as people see VR, they're like, meh. I'm telling you, it's like when we try to cover like NFTs. I think people just automatically get stigmatized. They're like, yeah, no, I'm not into VR. And they immediately don't click, you know? Hate to break it, just like last year, a lot of the games that are supposed to release this year will be pushed to 2023. I keep telling people that any game that's landing in October or later, I'm doubtful. I'm like, ugh. September and back is probably pretty locked in. October, right? October, November, and December, I'm like, no. No. What's the TikTok I follow? I'm probably not looking for it correctly. Just Reforge TV. Reforge TV. I think we made a TikTok command. And yes, I'm well aware there's a guy over there doing impersonation and like posting videos and stuff. Don't even interact. Just block and move on. If you see people doing that, like, it's just our resident troll. TikTok doesn't work all that well for that kind of behavior. Like, that doesn't. It's just there's no reason to draw attention to it. There's no reason at all. If you see him on Twitter, if you see him over there, literally, the literal best thing you can do is block and do not engage. God of War seems all but finished. Insiders are pretty confident it's releasing. Yeah, the Breath of the Wild 2, that one hurt. I tried my best to tell people. I tried my best. I was like, no, it's not coming. No, it's not coming. No way. When they said that their what do they say? Their hopeful launch window was 2022. I was like, you just told me the game's not coming out this year. Like, hopeful launch window? The frick? What's that? What a hopeful launch window? What's a hopeful launch window? You know, like that's not a launch. That's not a. That's not a launch. That's not a launch date. That's not a release date. So it's a bummer. It's a bummer, but it's the facts, man. It's the facts. Is it under news? Where's this Outlaws thing? Here we go. Breath of the Wild 2 all but confirms a new version of the Switch. Yes, and we covered that on the updates channel. I don't know if we should have covered that here or not as a lead. It wouldn't have been... I don't know how much of a... of a discussion there would have been to be had. We will not be getting launch dates. All we're getting is at the end. Is it really a Zelda game if it doesn't get delayed? That's what I think, Creature. Hearing Breath of the Wild 2 not running well on current Switch. The first one struggled on the Switch. Well, no, Tommy, I think you're inverting, and you're not doing this intentionally, but you're not representing the news about that correctly. That's not what was stated. Breath of the Wild 2 was analyzed by Digital Foundry, and the gameplay footage is doing stuff that isn't possible on the current Switch. So that they're not saying, like, you can't interpret it this way, Tommy. They're not saying Breath of the Wild 2 is going to run poorly on the Switch. That's not what they said. They said the exact opposite. They said the footage that we've seen is running so well, we are theorizing it's running on a newer machine, a stronger machine. The anti-aliasing, the clouds, there's different things that they were analyzing. So there's not any news that I've seen of anybody saying that there's reports that Breath of the Wild 2 is running poorly on the regular Switch. The reason that we can probably, I think we can confidently say that's not going to be the case is because it's going to be the same world. They're basing it off the same map, same engine, same graphics, right? Like, and so to me, it's going to run just as well as the last one did. Excuse me. Yeah. So it's going to run, if you enjoyed Breath of the Wild on your Switch, Breath of the Wild 2 is going to run at the same fidelity. Right? Yeah, I saw the new Thor trailer. I watched it without sound. Yeah, it was not Christopher Judge. It was some mocap guy, yeah. 4K Breath of the Wild with fan-made mods. Oh, really? I've never taken a look at any of that. People don't play it at 4K 60? Yeah. Hope Hogwarts Legacy comes out this year. It's a perfect holiday game, especially with Harry Potter fans. Excuse me. The only reason it's not out already is because of injuries to the Kratos actor. Yeah, he had like back injuries, and they had to delay it. They had to push it back. Yep. Which gave grounds to the fact that the game was in development for such a long time that it wasn't held back by like current or old gen support, which a lot of people said, you know. Hey, we got 3 more followers. Thank you so much. 3 more followers on TikTok. We're 1 away from 800. We are getting there. We really are. You can do some different things over there to grow your audience, which I did once, and I don't want to do it again unless we have a video that really takes off. The Lord of the Rings video took off, but they won't let me do it with that one because it got flagged, and there's nothing wrong with the video at all, but whatever. Excuse me. Yeah, there's a Love and Thunder trailer. It came out. As much as I love Forbidden West, they probably should have delayed until May. Every post is clickbaiting as if it's judged, though. It's kind of disgusting. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, is like, that's part of this industry that I don't like. You know what I mean? You got to play the game, and so many people go way overboard with playing the game. What'd you do? Wear skimpy clothes and dance to a pop music song? No, I was defending Lord of the Rings fans for being, you know, very ardently in support of sticking to the source material, and so I was basically saying you can't say Lord of the Rings fans are the R word, and it got flagged for being, I don't even know what language they use, but they use some kind of a language that, like, it's like it almost sounded like they should have removed the video, but I'm not saying they should remove the video. I'm saying if you're not going to let me promote it, then it seems like you wouldn't even allow the video to exist. Like, it seemed really contradictory. Hey, we just hit 800 followers over there. Thank you. Even Review Tech had a clickbait video on the whole God of War allegations thing. Yeah, underage girls shaking their butt, that's fine, but tell someone the truth and you might be in trouble. After a search warrant and arrest, they released him pretty quickly. I don't know if there's much there. Yeah, I saw another report, Eugene, saying that they released him like the next day. And I was like, wait a minute. Does that mean he's innocent? Or did he just post bail like super lightning quick? And would they let you post bail super lightning quick? Oh, only a $5,000 bail? That's really low. I don't know about that story then. That seems kind of like a hit piece, that to me. That seems like a hit piece. That seems like somebody used the system to basically ruin the guy. Because now that's always going to hang over his head, even if he's totally innocent, you know? That seems really odd. Because if he is in fact guilty, that doesn't make any sense at all. That doesn't make any sense. Hey, I'll tell you what. Shelve that one for Thursday, guys. Keep an eye on that story for me. Keep an eye on that story. This guy, the original, well, not the original, one of the mocaps for God of War being accused of pretty heinous stuff. Save that for Thursday. We do a members-only stream on Thursday afternoon. It's an extra stream. It's about an hour long or a little bit longer. If you've ever considered doing a membership here, that's a perfectly good reason to. Sometimes there's stuff that gets a little too spicy, gets a little too, you know, out of the lane, and we don't cover it. So we can save that for Thursday for members only. And if you're not a member here, $5 a month gets you into that extra stream on Thursday. It also gets you into the Friday night streams. Pretty much every Friday night I'm playing a game with my wife. We're laughing, we're having drinks, we're having a good time. This Friday is community game night. And you can make sure that Fortnite's installed and updated, okay? Even if you don't like Fortnite, we're going to be playing no-build squads. We'll just be drinking, laughing, and acting stupid. Even if you don't like Fortnite, just get it installed. It's on every platform. It's 100% cross-play. So let's have a good time this Friday. And if you're not a member, now's the perfect time to become one, to take advantage of all that new stuff that we're doing. So either way, it's a very, very poor miscarriage of justice, or likely not much on the charges. Right. Yeah. Something's amiss there. You got it installed and you're stoked? Nice. Hey, could we get 300 likes on this video? We need 40 more likes. What we need to do is really run good ratios on these videos, okay? So the streams are going to be about 2.5 hours when this is happening. Like when the numbers dip like this, we gotta shorten the show. And if we can pull decent views, decent likes, we can kind of turn the rudder around here. I truly don't know what's going on, but we got to do our absolute best to push everything we can to communicate to YouTube, you know, to either change whatever they changed or start shoving us in front of the users again, because they're not. Doesn't make sense. It should be one thing. You can bail out. You can make money To pay if you're in jail. I'm not understanding that. What's the thing? Only thing you can post bail for is child support? What time on Friday is your community game night going to start? 8 p.m. Eastern. This last week was just an absolute... this weekend was crazy because of the holiday. So, Good Friday, we were spending time with friends and meeting good friends of ours. They had a friend in town from outside the country, and they really wanted us to meet them. So, we were super late this last Friday. So, that should not be the case most of the time. It's possible that people aren't searching for gaming-related news stuff recently. I don't think that's what it is. No, this coincided with updates to the website and the UI and the mobile. Royal Duck says, I had to go to the sub page the last week or so before you were always in my recommended. Yep, see, right there. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And when thousands of people don't know that that's happening, it hurts us. Like, Royal Duck is here on a regular basis. He's a paying member. I see his name in chat regularly. That's why I keep telling you guys, if you don't see my streams, please check your subscription feed and please check my channel. Because whatever they're doing, that's what's happening, is we're not showing up on that. When you first open the app or you first open up YouTube, it's not putting us right there. You're having to take extra steps to get here, which... if you know anything about the internet and usability, that's going to drive down engagement, and it has absolutely crushed us. Will Hilly have to be? Will still have a part on Friday nights? He will have a part when he can. Hilly will have a part on Friday nights when he can make it, but for now he can't. Timmy is like your stream; they don't show it all. Same with Doc. Yeah, it's not just our channel. It's happening the live streams right now. They're fiddling with something, and it's hurting live stream placement. Are they going to make a sequel to Horizon Forbidden West? So, according to the creative director, Horizon Forbidden West is getting a sequel, and it's also getting DLC. So, we have no idea the timing of either of those things, but it was confirmed by the creative director that both are happening. Yes. And we're doing our best to not focus on it. But I have to let people know. Like, I'm doing my absolute best not to get discouraged, because normal YouTubers can just upload videos and be like, oh, well, that one didn't do as well. Like, we kind of have to sit here and deal with it for 6 hours a day, well, more. And so we're doing our best to not get, like, down in the mouth about it and just say, hey, just be aware this is happening. Please check, for our streams in these various locations, and please follow us on TikTok so we can add another avenue of exposure. We need 200 more followers over there, and we'll be able to stream over there, and potentially it could be really good for us, because we could be in a league of our own over there for live streams. There's not a ton of them, and the ones that are over there that are doing the best are way outside of what we do. So we could do something that would, I think would garner good potential traction, interaction, and maybe bring people over here. Who knows? That's not really the goal. The goal is just to be like, hey, our content's available in multiple areas. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify and iTunes, or watch live on YouTube, or watch us live on TikTok. Like that's kind of the idea. Even PewDiePie is getting like 12,000 views nowadays on his streams. Feels like we overthought this. Netflix, The Queen's Gambit, the board game. That's funny. That's actually really funny. That's a good joke. That's well done. Okay. Let's go here. Where's he put? Does he put his VODs? Does he put his VODs in a playlist? Members only videos and live. Oh, he makes them members only. Yeah, so sadly I can't see if old PewDiePie is is seeing decline. You can't really tell. It's not possible because you go to something like Social Blade, you're never gonna be able to tell because his channels are so stinking massive. Frozen Wilds was excellent. Hopefully Horizon Forbidden West DLC stands up. The only thing with DLC is I bought the Ultimate Edition of Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm going to have to buy DLC, or will it be discounted? Yeah, I don't actually know. You know what I mean? I don't actually know how they're doing that. Like, so you bought... Wait, you said you bought the Ultimate Edition of HZD. Did you mean that you bought the Ultimate Edition of Horizon Forbidden West? Because if you bought the Ultimate Edition, you should get everything. I mean, that's kind of the meaning of the word ultimate, is it not? Streams are a big difference. He was at 2.2K last week. Streams of big guys are never going to be the greatest barometer because, like, especially all they have to do is switch games and it makes a huge difference. You know what I mean? Like Doc and Tim, for as big as they are, it's super game dependent. They have a huge, humongous percentage of their audience that are like, if they're not playing the core game, then they're not showing up. So it's really hard to get a barometer from those guys. Now, if you have a lot of subscribers that are like, bro, I couldn't find you, I didn't know you were live, you know, blah, 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 then that's when you know something's going on. You know that there is something weird happening. And if big channels and little channels are experiencing that, then again, it's encouraging because it means, you know, they're fiddling with stuff that could help us. But in the meantime, we just have to constantly raise awareness and be like, hey, check these 2 locations if you don't see me. You bought Forbidden West. Yeah, now, Eugene saying Ultimate, do you mean Deluxe or do you mean the Collectors? Yeah, I'm not sure what you ordered. I would imagine if you ordered anything above Standard, you should be getting the content. I don't know, unless you were buying like an art book or something. PewDiePie has a contract with YouTube. They pay him to stream. It's why he can stream whatever he likes. Well, sure, that's not really what we're discussing. We're discussing just people saying, "Hey, I didn't know you were live." Like, that's been happening a lot. And the few people that realize it are probably, sadly, the minority. I promise you, they're gonna fiddle with this. They're gonna fix this, and then all of a sudden, we're gonna have a week where every day people are going to be like, bro, where have you been? I thought you went on vacation or something. Watch. It's going to happen. Eugene says there was no promise of future content being included. Oh, right. Like, there was no season pass or anything. That's right. I bought whatever the top tier digital edition was for Horizon Zero Dawn and I get everything. Yeah, but see, you're buying it way, way post-launch. Yeah. What's this tweet? It says, I don't understand this issue of referring to a sequel as a sequel. To say you're tired of fanboy backlash, this is silly. Why are you going out of your way to not refer to the game as a sequel? Sequels rarely redefine the previous entry, but it does greatly refine it. The guy says, oh my blanking god, it is a sequel. Who's claiming anything else? Why must everything be a thing? I'm saying the sequel looks like DLC, meaning it picks up right where they last let off, plus doesn't look like it's going to be much different than the original, which is fine, because the original equals Game of the Year. Oh, this guy says, I'm not talking about any more beyond this. I don't think calling something DLC is an insult. It means more of the same. If you call something DLC to one of the best games of 2018, for example, you're not saying it looks bad. You're simply saying it looks like more of the same. No, that's not what people are saying. No. I think it's because God of War 2 is just the DLC from the first game. My question would be the context of when it's said, right? The context of when it's said. So when someone says, right, when someone says, oh, it just looks like DLC, or oh, it's just DLC, okay? What's the context of them saying that? He's trying to spin it into a positive. Oh, it just means more of the same. That's a good thing. Shut the frick up. It never means that. No one ever says, oh, that looks like DLC as a compliment. Eugene says, completely misses the context. People never say looks like DLC as a compliment. That's yes, exactly right. Like, he is literally twisting the fabric of reality in an effort to be like, oh no, when someone says this, it's a positive thing. It means it looks like more of the same great game. Shut up. No one says that. There's not a living person right now that has ever said, that looks like DLC, and meant it as a compliment. There's nobody alive that has ever said that. It's always used as a pejorative. It's always used as an insult, as a way to degrade it from being something better, bigger, or standing on its own. It's always in the context of complaining about price or that it looks like the first in a negative way. Right, exactly. On the other hand, I've never heard or seen this channel before. It popped on my recommended today, so you got me today as a new subscriber. Well, that's good news, Steve. Thank you for saying that. I think what they're doing, Steve, is they're experimenting with existing subscribers. That's what I think they're doing. And what it's doing is it's making our starting numbers really low, and then YouTube's translating that as, oh, that's not as good of a video. Don't show it to as many new people. So we're still meeting new people like you. Like, we've already garnered, 5 or 6 new subs today. That's not terrible, but it's showing us to less new people because it's showing us to less of the sub base in the morning. It's sort of a cyclical, unfortunately, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like you're experimenting with showing me to less of my sub base, so less of my sub base clicks. And when less of my sub base clicks, you're like, well, less of his sub base is clicking, show this to less of YouTube. It's like, wait a minute, wait, hold on. You did that, not me. I'm here on time, Monday through Friday, covering video game news, doing variety gaming news coverage, and you click the button, YouTube, you know what I mean? So we're happy to meet you and glad that you're here and glad you pushed the button. It's actually, I think they're experimenting with the existing sub base is what they're doing. That's why I'm telling people that are here, like, listen. If you ever think I'm not streaming, please check your subscriber feed and please check my channel because I'm probably streaming. YouTube's doing something. So make sure to do those things, because if you're like, oh, I enjoy the show, this is dope, and I'm new, who knows? YouTube might fiddle with something in a couple of days and you won't see me live. The way to ensure you don't miss the show is to check your sub feed and to check my channel every morning. Treat me like your morning radio show routine. Like, just show up, be like, hey, is he live? Oh, there's the stream for the day, and you click on it. It's scheduled, it's set, usually at like 45 minutes before I go live, it's scheduled. Because that's when we do things. When God of War Ragnarok gameplay was revealed, I did think it looked like God of War 2018 graphic-wise. I honestly thought it was DLC. I never see the same things as the public. I don't know what it is. I truly don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if my glasses are better, if my monitors are better. I really don't. There was a clear graphical upgrade in the Ragnarok footage that I saw. Undeniable. Now the cutscenes, well, you can't make Kratos look much different than he already does, okay? But if you look at the combat sequences of Ragnarok and you say that it looks like God of War 2018 graphics-wise, I'm like, bro, I don't know what you're watching this on. An Etch-a-Sketch? No. It looks significantly updated. There's better fluidity, there's better lighting, there's better shadows, there's more detail. Everything's been upgraded. I don't know. I don't know what people are seeing. Horizon Forbidden West looked more like an upgrade. You know what's funny, Black Superman? When we watched the Horizon Forbidden West footage, everybody said the same thing about that, though. They're like, that doesn't look any different than the first game. I was like, what? Because I had just played it. I had just been playing it. Because we were like, hey, we're getting new info about the new game. Let's go back and kind of revisit the first game. Let's go look at the port. Let's go look at the PC port, right? Probably YouTube auto quality, which drops it to crap. Yeah, maybe. But like, if you're wanting to see how good new gameplay looks, and you're not making sure you're watching on 4K, I don't know what to tell you. You know? Outlaws. Time to jump in. I don't know. Anytime I watch that kind of footage, that's one of the first things I do. I'm pausing it, baby. I'm like, all right, come on. Let me up the quality here. You know, let me up it here. Let me make it look good. Okay. I'm sending out the tweet for the next stream. All right, let me quickly... If you are curious about the latest No Man's Sky update, the No Man's Sky Outlaws update, that's the next stream. We're going to be covering it. I'm going to be walking through why I think it's a good time to jump back in, but I'm also going to be talking about the good and the bad. I think there are things you need to consider for people that are coming back to the game. I also want to talk about the future of No Man's Sky, given that Hello Games has indicated they will be and are building their next game. What does that mean for the future of No Man's Sky? Okay? It's called intellectual honesty, says Eugene. I don't always agree with you, but you always have reasons. Oh, like people that are saying that something doesn't look good? Like, is that what you mean, Eugene? The guy that created God of War and Twisted Metal, so his opinion holds some weight. That's why people got mad? This guy created God of War and Twisted Metal? Oh, that's who David Scott, whatever his name is? Yeah, he can be like... That can be his history in the gaming world, right? But that doesn't mean that he can't have a dumb take. Like, I don't know. Saying it looks like DLC just feels like... I don't know. It just feels like jealousy, like where you're not included anymore, so you got to take it down a peg, and when you get called out for like taking the game down a peg, you try to twist it into saying it was a positive. Like, nobody, like I said, nobody alive uses that phrase in that way. When you said you don't know why you see things differently from the public. Oh. If God of War Ragnarok is DLC, so is every direct sequel in the same engine. You know what? Here's what's also unfair, Black Superman, to saying like, oh, it looks like the 2018 version of God of War. Okay, I'm not saying you're not being fair. I'm asking the question, are you being fair? Okay, so I'm not asserting that you're not being fair. I'm genuinely curious. If you play God of War on the PS5 with the 4K checkerboard update to 60 FPS, or you play it on PC, and then you go and look at Ragnarok footage and think it doesn't look that much better, you have to understand what a significant upgrade you're now experiencing compared to when the game originally launched on PS4. Like, that to me, I'm curious about. Are people making an unfair comparison? Are they like, oh yeah, it looks like DLC? Well, yeah, compared to everything they've done to make the game look more beautiful now. Because if you're playing the updated PS5 or the PC versions, and then you go look at Ragnarok, yeah, the difference between them isn't going to be as significant. But go back and play it on a PS4 and then talk to me. Watch that footage where he's fighting all the different enemies in that one area. It's like green and lush and well lit. And go watch that and be like, oh no, it looks like DLC. I'd be like, nah, I don't think so. I just don't think so. He's a YouTuber now. His opinion on current video games is about as important as yours and mine. What he did over 20 years ago should not give him credibility today. Well, and I think you can shoot your credibility in the foot when you take a swipe at the game that's coming out that you helped build. Like, I think you can hurt your credibility. You know what I mean? It'd have been like Cliffy B taking a swipe at Gears 5. That everybody would have called that what it was. I mean, who knows? Maybe he did. Cliffy B's got some, he's got some of his own ways of using Twitter and hot takes that can be a little, wonky. So, all right, I'm going to hit some ads and take a quick break. When we get back, it's going to be time for the No Man's Sky stream. Do me a favor, guys. Do me a favor. We're super close. We need 12 more likes on this video to get to 300. While I'm stepping away, I'm telling you, I know it sounds crazy, but you got to trust me on this. We need 200 more followers on TikTok. Please look up Reforge TV on TikTok. Throw us a follow. We want to start trying live streaming over there. It's not going to hurt YouTube. We'll do it at the same time. And you got to trust me on this. Analyzing the industry and looking at things and looking at trends. I know there's tons of people that are going to watch this as a VOD or are watching right now that could do that for us. So take the time to do that. I'll be right back. And again, we don't run a lot of advertisements here, so consider doing a paid membership. $5 a month. It gets you a badge, emotes. We do an extra stream on Thursdays. If you want spicy takes about this guy getting arrested who did the mocap for God of War, you want spicy takes about other things that we haven't talked about here that are gaming oriented, that's what Thursdays is for. It's kind of behind the curtains. Not everybody can see it. And then Friday nights is also members only. Most of the month, it's me and my wife. This Friday is community game night. I'm going to bang on that drum all week because we want to have a good turnout. Community game night this Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure Fortnite is installed and updated. Even if you don't like the game, it's free to play everywhere and totally cross-play. We'll have fun with it. We're doing no-build squads. We'll be drinking and laughing. That's members only. So, hit all those buttons. Order coffee, become a member, throw a follow on TikTok. I'll be right back for the next stream. No, it's fine. It's far enough away. Okay. Guys, appreciate it. A couple more people slam that follow button over there on the TikTok. I never would have thought I'd be asking for that. We need one more like on this video for 300. I'm going to give you a link to where we're going. It should redirect, but if it doesn't... Never say TikTok again. Listen, get me to 1,000 followers over there. And I'll never say that ever again, right? Just liked it for 300. Thank you. Thank you. Click that link in chat if redirect doesn't work for you, all right? What is happening? Excuse me. This is not a good commercial for the next show. I'm having to clear my throat a lot. Ah, there we go. Okay. You already follow me? Okay. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be another episode of Reforge Gaming News talking about No Man's Sky Outlaws. Is it a good time to jump in? I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the future of the franchise. Hello Games talking about doing another game that they're working on. What does that mean for No Man's Sky's future as a franchise? Why is now a great time to dive in? If you're returning, I've got some warnings. That is kind of some of the bad things that I feel that they could make significantly better. So if you have been playing this game or you're coming back to it, there are elements to these updates that I think could be polished a little bit more. If you're a brand new player, it is a wonderful time to jump in. I'm going to end this morning's stream and bring people over from the redirect